Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Selena.
I wanted to do like a twirl and like a slow reveal, you know?
But it was too hard with the wires and the microphone. Yeah, I get it.
You'd have to reset up everything, and then you might...
Or you would.
Drown me. Well, then you'd be like, here's how you're doing it wrong. And I'd be like, I know. Anyways, what I was meant to say is also hello, everyone else, or y'all, maybe. And welcome to Sweet Tea and TV. We are at season 6, and this episode 4, is dedicated to our favorite, the one, the only. I know I say it every time, but this time I mean it. It's the one and only.
I mean it the most.
The most. Because she's the hostess with the mostest, maybe.
She's the something.
She's never hosted, but I bet you she'd be okay. Ms. Bernice Clifton.
I should have done that before you said Bernice Clifton.
I could have paused.
Yeah, well.
So what?
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah. What has Our Lady with the arterial flow problem been up to?
So somehow we really upped the Bernice factor this season without getting a full Bernice-focused episode. Mm-hmm. And if my memory / going back in time through looking at episode summaries is right, she didn't even show up until 8 episodes in.
Yeah.
And somehow she managed to steal the show this season. So what we've done is we've taken the episodes where she has an appearance, I guess, really. Any episode she appeared in. But they were all pretty substantial. Mm-hmm. So we have episode 8, The Strange Case of Clarence and Anita. This is the episode where the ladies use Mary Jo and Julia preparing for a stage version of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane as a backdrop to debate their take on the Clarence Thomas, Anita Hill sexual harassment hearings. In the background, Carlene was throwing Allison her first birthday party. And then in the planning of that party, we learned that she and Allison, she being Bernice and Allison have a little bit of a special bond. They go out shopping for party favors in this one. Mm-hmm. Then we have episode 9, Just Say Doe. This is the one where Mary Jo's long-lost brother Skip shows up. He falls in heavy like with Allison. It was also the episode where Bernice came in dressed as Queen Elizabeth, which was the costume she wore to treat the patrons of a new Atlanta car wash.
So good.
Then we have episode 10, Rusty and Julia sitting in a tree. This is, of course, the sweet episode where Julia goes on a date with Rusty for his birthday, but then agrees to a second date, which turns out to be a glorious double date at the drive-in movie theater. Bernice and Anthony end up paired together, and fortunately for everyone else, she saves the day by choking on popcorn. In episode 1 of the podcast this season, I mentioned that this was one of my favorite moments of the season. Episode 11, Julia and Mary Jo get stuck under a bed. We've talked about this one like so much, but this is where Mary Jo and Julia get stuck under the bed of a holiday decorating contest competitor.
Just in case you couldn't get it.
Right.
From the, just say dough. You kind of, where's that going?
Right.
But, yeah.
So this competitor turns out to be very randy. But it was in this episode that Bernice bought everyone a Thigh Master. And we find out that when Anthony and Carlene went in to spring the ladies from under the bed, Bernice was trying to blend in with a nativity scene on the front lawn.
Yes. I couldn't remember if she was there behind a deer on the roof or something.
Yes.
I just knew it was somewhere weird.
Much safer on the ground.
Yes.
Episode 13, Tales Out of School. Anthony and Carlene are cramming for final exams, but Anthony realizes he could maybe push for a better grade by connecting one of his professors with Carlene, who the professor expressed an interest in. So our Bernice bit in this one includes her having given Mary Jo like a bra and some panties that she picked up at a swap meet. She also was working with Carlene on a laptop to create a will for herself in this episode. And then she had a short circuit moment where she talked about how the holidays overwhelm her, which I thought was very relatable. Totally. I feel that way too. Episode 15, Pain Comes Home. This is another one of those. If you can't guess it from the title, I can't help you. Pain comes home. But more importantly for this particular episode of the podcast, it's also a flashback episode where Allison and Carlene meet Bernice for the first time. The bit is that Bernice comes into the business and Allison doesn't realize who she is. So she proceeds to treat her like a normal client. And Bernice enjoys having her butt kissed a little bit. This is also where she first starts looking for someone to go see the new Ernest movie with her.
Yes.
And that's another moment where we realize that Allison is that lucky lady and a new partner for Bernice, partner in crime. Episode 16, Carlene, and you just stop me anytime.
She's like in a lot of episodes.
She is. I like so many of them after episode 8. Episode 16, Carlene's apartment. So Carlene gets a new apartment. I feel so silly. So as any adult does when they get a new apartment, you didn't do this actually, Selena. You didn't invite me over for a slumber party.
Okay.
I could say no, but you didn't
would
invite
say
me.
no. Hey, Nikki, you want to come over for a slumber party?
Well, Carlene did throw a slumber party at her new apartment.
And even Allison showed.
Even Allison
Nikki.
came. Am I the Allison of our podcast?
You're not even Allison of the podcast because you wouldn't come at all.
Allison was very curmudgeonly about it.
There.
She did not want to be about it. She did not want to be there. And it's partly because Carlene's apartment is in like a really exciting part of town. Allison was not thrilled about it. Bernice is next level unhinged in this episode. On a scale of 1 to 100% Bernice, this is the one I think people would point to. Like if they're
110.
big Bernice heads, this is the episode where like that's who Bernice is. We're rounding home. We're getting close to the end of the list. We got episode 18, A Scene from a Mall. This is the one where Julia has that seriously misguided attempt at advocating for Anthony when he's discriminated against at the mall. But the whole thing is that he had taken Bernice shopping for dainties when everything went down. Bernice goes full on mother hen for Anthony in this one when she says, "You're picking on my chick. When you're picking on my chick, you're pecking on the wrong side of me." She offers to bring the big hairy cafeteria men from Hillcrest Leisureland to take up for Anthony. Episode 19, all about odes to Atlanta. In this one, Carlene writes a song about Atlanta for a music competition related to the Olympics, thereupon attracting a weird groupie. Bernice is answering the phones throughout this episode because the business has either gotten so busy and or because everyone is distracted by this songwriting competition. Either way, it's as delightful as you'd expect. Crazy sugar bakers, our prices are insane, and sugar bakers, our girls work cheap. Those were some of her best lines. Episode 22, A Little Night Music. My not so favorite episode of Julia going through a bit of a health scare. The surgeon kind of takes a shine to her. Anyway, Bernice thinks she saw Carlene's parents on hard copy in this episode.
It's kind of a little bit of a throwback to Suzanne thinking that she'd seen Charlene's nanny
on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes.
Good call. All right, and finally, episode 23, Shades of Vanessa. This one brings out a different side of Bernice. To me, it's unclear whether it's simply because of her push-up bra, which she claims makes her a little more on it and a little more aggressive and astute, or if it's because Vanessa is infringing on her one-of-a-kind kinship with Anthony, which is what I think is happening.
Two things can be true.
This is true. Good point. Fair enough. Either way, it's a special kind of Bernice in this episode. So those were the episodes featuring her. Did I miss any, or was there anything you'd add?
Let's just start from episode 1. And can you go through and give us just a snippet of each one all the way through 23?
Sorry, guys. It's just Bernice, man. She showed up everywhere.
And I'm so glad for it.
So to streamline some of that, her major plot points. So we go from feisty Bernice to belligerent Bernice this season.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
She's a little unhinged a time or two.
Crazy in a different and new and exciting way.
It was still with a capital D delightful.
Yes, I agree with you.
But I might have been scared if she had offered to fight me.
Yes. You remember I don't want to go too far, in Carlene's apartment where she tries to get a piece of Julia?
I do.
I would have been scared if I had been Julia.
I was scared.
So then we don't get a lot of information about her personal life, but I did jot down, I think you shared a couple things. I jotted some down of things we did learn about her this season. So she briefly worked at the car wash as Queen Elizabeth, which I said. That was episode 9, Just Say Doe. She shops at swap meets for fairly inappropriate things like undergarments. She gets very abrasive at the holidays, and she has connections with some very scary people at the Hillcrest Leisureland cafeteria. So that was episode 13, Tales Out of School. She doesn't sleep in a top. We learned that in episode 16, Carlene's apartment. I feel like it's good to know that about someone before you invite them over for a slumber party.
Is that not what was going to happen at my slumber party? Or oh, look, Nikki just went fully behind her casing there.
Worst case scenario.
Whole head disappeared.
She's also a very big Ernest fan, dragging Allison to see at least one Ernest movie, but I'm pretty sure they might have seen 2 throughout the season. Big Ernest fan.
Could be. I can't remember, but that was a callback.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about in a while. I also loved an Ernest movie around that age.
Ernest Scared Stupid. It's a good one.
It is.
Do you have any other plot points you wanted to mention?
I think you got them.
I'm encompassing today. So we're calling our Bernice Season 6 adventures Bernice, Ready to Boogie, Ready to Rumble. You want to walk us through some of our superlatives this season?
Absolutely.
If you're still awake over there after my summaries of all the episodes.
Look, she was just in more than anybody else. And it was really cobbled together because I think what I would say is like she is just purely comic relief now.
Yes.
So that we're not getting something where she's, you know, like the one episode where she almost got married to the guy who's in the car commercials or whatever.
Right.
So it's just changing. And so there's nothing like solid to go off of. So we have like 18 episodes, you know.
Right.
For this, though, speaking of all of those episodes, when we're talking about the best episode overall, what was your favorite for Bernice?
I think my overall best was episode 16, Carlene's apartment. This one gave us a lot of lead up to our Bernice appearance. So I think that built the excitement a little bit. They spent like a lot of time with the background audio, with like the car scene, really driving home the point that Carlene's apartment is not in a quaint area of town. So when we hear that Bernice is going to meet them there, you as the viewer are sort of wondering like, how's this going to go? And then Julia says, Bernice is dead. I laughed out loud every time I watched that line. Bernice is dead. Then when we finally see her, she is belligerent Bernice in a way we've not ever seen her before.
Well, she's drunk.
On the one Mai Tai, the one bad Mai Tai.
That might be all it takes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because she's probably on some meds that aren't supposed to be mixed with alcohol.
And that is a good segue into my next point, which is that upon arrival, she shared that she had to stop by and find out about that whole nude, live nude, totally nude, and figure out what the distinctions were all about.
Thank God someone committed to the work that Mary Jo first asked about, you know?
So Mary Jo is the ideas gal and Bernice is the doer.
And they weren't even together. So they're making it happen separately.
They're just making it happen separately. They're super cosmically aligned. And I loved when Bernice, you know, and Mary Jo asks her, like, what did you learn? And she's like, listen, sister, I'm not telling. If you want to find out, go in there, pay $17.50 for a bad Mai Tai, and then we'll talk.
And that is the average cost of a cocktail now.
It is.
Yeah. So I don't even know what they would be.
What's inflation like?
Like Pink Pony or something.
Yeah.
$1 million. They're just like $39.
More than I would pay, let me tell you that. But that her picking a fight with Julia was another favorite. I've been wanting a piece of you for a long time. And then I really loved when everyone was complaining about their hot dogs and how they just sort of didn't smell right. And she goes, you people whine too much. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Put it in your purse like I did. So good. There were just so many sparkly Bernice moments through that episode.
Well, so I'll just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and say this is my favorite episode as well, or the best episode, but it's also my favorite.
Yeah.
So we've talked about there. You can distinguish that. Yeah. The best isn't always your favorite, but
for sure.
So the topless thing is funny, but it's also funny. It's why she doesn't need an overnight bag, because she's got her PJ bottoms under her clothes and she doesn't sleep in a top. So she's got it all worked out.
Covered.
She has a plan.
She is firefighter ready for any situation she might find herself in. And I appreciate that about a person.
Except for firefighters coming in because there's a fire and her hoo-haws are out. Nope. I was trying so hard to keep it appropriate and went to another body part, and she's got two of them. I mean, we're in a really weird situation. Anyways, at some point off screen also, she made everyone leg wrestle.
Yes.
So we do get like a little glimpse of that as well.
Can I argue, though, that having your hoo-haws hanging out when the firefighters show up could be considered firefighter ready for some people?
It could be.
I could see that being firefighter ready for Bernice.
Oh, that's true. She's probably preparing for, would those be her ho-hos?
I was going to say Hooters.
It's not her. Just you saying Hooters. Is like, I'm just like trying not to go straight to the.
I also thought Hootie Hoos.
Yes.
I don't know.
Anyways, it does feel like that is her firefighter ready. You're absolutely right.
And did they say that she leg wrestled or just that she had other people leg wrestle? Do you remember?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I would love to see her leg wrestle.
Do it again.
Yeah.
the hips of that age. It
You
gets
know what?
the hips of this age. I don't know. Also, I now I'm concerned that people won't think that we know differentiations between body parts.
I think we made the
know
point.
them.
We do. We just don't know the
We have
PG
them.
version of saying them.
No, I only know the bad version. And I shouldn't say bad. I only know the version that ends our clean
There
podcast
you
run.
go.
That's
There
what I'm
you
trying to
go.
say. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the pass. Okay, so what was your worst episode?
I am so fascinated to hear what you have here because I don't have anything. I cannot give Bernice a bad episode.
I would love to say that I have something here, but I don't. There are no worst episodes with Bernice.
It just doesn't happen.
I think where we're going to also agree is, if anything, I could look through that list and tell you the ones where she would have made it better.
Yes.
And it's every single one of them.
Yeah.
There's nowhere where I couldn't have found a place for her.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if she had something else going on towards it. Until you pointed that out, I didn't realize it was that far into the season.
I think I meant to look that up at some point and got distracted.
Because she still did like show
Yeah.
or like stage stuff, I think.
I think that's right.
Okay. How about it can be one, it can be three, or was it just hard to hold to it? Funniest
Funniest ones. I have 3.
Okay.
Yep, I counted again. So I say this with care because I can see with Bernice, it's going to get challenging for me. We also have a category of cringiest. Tracking 2024 lenses with 1992 TV. And Bernice was older and had no filter, obviously, so she can say whatever she wants. So when she sings Black Man, I died. I thought it was hilarious because, one, it's wacky. Like, what is happening right now? But 2, and I think I mentioned this maybe in episode 1 this season, I just remember that from childhood or like youngerhood, not really childhood, but younger. Like when I was younger, I remember that. And I remember that always being really funny. So it brought me a special sense of joy. So the first time that she sang that in episode 9, which is when I think she first sang it, was a real funny moment for me, a real happy moment for me.
Well, also Anthony's reaction is really good. And
Yeah.
I think we all get the idea that no one's like, yeah, go.
Great
go ahead, just
idea.
do that. Yeah, wonderful.
What a wonderful song.
Absolutely.
I also had when Allison and Carlene meet her for the first time and Payne comes home. So we had all met Bernice, obviously, well before this time. We understand what we're walking into with her. But for Allison and Carlene to get it for the first time and for us to get to watch it with that backstory was just a real special treat. And then, of course, no surprises, her loving Ernest. I love that. It's perfectly random. And 1992 must have been a banner year at the movie theater for Bernice if she got to go see an Ernest movie. And then my last one was episode 23, Shades of Vanessa. This is just like, generally she was delightful in that episode, but it was the whole bit about the bra helping her arterial flow issue. And just like some of the things that were coming out of her mouth, just buy a damn push-up bra and you cause a damn scandal. Like it was just all the things were firing.
It feels like maybe she got some of Suzanne's jokes. And
Yeah.
like also like Anthony, when was it Lita that he dated
Yes.
years ago? Suzanne was like jealous.
Yeah.
And now Bernice is jealous.
Bernice has taken over that.
Yeah, so we don't lose out on that. We're just getting it with the other most delightful character. So,
And they had sort of, I think, built that narrative, like made it a natural transition.
yeah, because they were spending all kinds of time together.
There was a special bond there, but yeah, that's a good point that maybe they were transitioning some of that to her.
So here's the ones I had. I had mentioned this in the first episode, but so every time that she nonchalantly dropped the name of previous lovers, many of whom were famous, it just happens the whole season. So we get Warren Beatty, Wilt Chamberlain. She thinks she was John Denver's groupie. Right. Like a bridge over troubled water. Am I right? And her briefly forgotten tryst with her car wash manager. Because she like forgot. She's like, oh, that's why I got fired. We got caught in the back seat or something like that. It's amazing.
Her whole life is amazing to
It
me.
is. I mean, it's
Maybe.
she's the one I'm hanging out
If it
with.
happened.
Yeah, as long as there's someone to take care of you, that's important because
Right.
I don't know if she's taking care of herself. And then I'll just go ahead and say, like, we talked about feisty Bernice. We've moved on a little bit from that, but really some all-time highs. I mean, I might have cheated here a little bit because I've got 3 examples of this, but They're just so good.
I feel like we've talked about the fact that we didn't get Bernice-focused plot lines.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've earned a little cushion over
have.
here about funniest moments.
This is where we get her. So this is the one where, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but Julia and Mary Jo, they get stuck under the bed.
Do they? What's that episode called?
I can't remember. I'm sure we would rename it something that people would get mad about. I think that this is what she said in the episode. I think we should get some bricks and baseball bats and go over there and teach them the true meaning of Christmas. What? Like I don't hardly know what it means.
Don't even know what to do with that.
And tells out of school on presents. Just so you know, Miss Goodwill, being my friend is not enough. I want merchandise. I sure as hell don't want another Life Alert necklace. Buy me some jewelry and some kick-ass leather pants. If I fall down, I'll get myself the hell up. So good. And then in Just Say Do, she says, I'm attractive. I come with my own tiara and I'm ready to boogie. And if that hadn't been so long, that would have been the name of this episode. I kept trying to make it work and I was like, this is just 35 words.
Not working.
But it's so good. And then I've got one more, which is the arterial flow Bernice. And this, it kind of like just teases out what you were talking about how holidays do something to her. But she starts like losing it, singing the Christmas carols, almost like she like gets stuck
she glitches
or whatever.
out.
Yeah. And it starts off with her returning the Thigh Master gifts that she brought everyone. She says, but I get very abrasive during the holidays. They started playing that sleigh bell song at the mall last Labor Day and won't let up. I can't remember what song it is that she sings, but she's like, it will.
That one?
Someone will know.
Yeah.
But she's just like,
It's just short circuit.
which is how I feel at work all the time. So how about up to 3 cringiest or most obnoxious moments?
So I went the cringy route because I don't think I have it in me to call her obnoxious. And I'll just say it's all about episode 16 because there was sort of a string in addition to the Black Man song. She also calls him Mandingo, which we've talked about previously. Just not good. And then she called him Stuff, which I can't place. I don't know if that's a reference to something. Do you know?
If that has some sort of tone to it, I don't know, but I thought it was really cute.
Okay.
So I don't know. I could just be missing something.
I just
entirely.
assumed it was not good.
Oh, okay.
So there was just a
If
string.
somebody called me Stuff, I think I would be like, oh, thanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because see, when I think of Stuff, I think of like crap.
Oh, and I think of like, that almost sounded like grandparent talk to me.
Oh.
You know? So I don't know. Now
Well, if
I'm
anybody
like,
knows, let us know.
Tell
Something
us.
about the string of things she was calling him felt derogatory.
I can see how that would be like an outlier instead of everything else that's happened. And
Yeah.
I also had all that on my list. So,
So that was it for me.
yeah, you got all mine. We're good. Most socially or culturally important or relevant plot. It just rolls right off the tongue.
I feel like I've missed something here because I have nothing here either. But
Okay.
it's that challenge of Bernice not having like major plot points.
Okay, so here's what I have. So episode 15, Pain Comes Home. So in terms of culturally important, the Ernest movie.
Oh,
Are
sure.
we sure that's not
Good
it?
point. Good point.
Followed by their plan to go to the monster truck rally. I just feel like they're really bringing together a cultural moment there.
I hear
so
you.
maybe not the cultural moment that you and I had intended when we wrote this out,
Love
but I
the
thought that was like
interpretation.
a fun, light, a Cool Whip version, if you will.
Bernice brings the culture is what I'm hearing you say.
On the serious side of things, 100%. On the serious side of things, I think it was her involvement in a scene from a mall. So what I really like is that she tore, we don't get to see it, but we get it recapped. She tore into the cops that went after Anthony. I believe she actually hit him in the face.
Probably.
So we don't condone violence, but I wouldn't have mind seeing it. So at the sit-in, she tells the officer to go get her chair and then says, now kiss off, pig. And then finally, she says this, I think we should get a bunch of those big, hairy men that work the cafeteria line. Here's what you were talking about at Leisureland and trash the joint. Just relax, Bernice. Just calm down. No way, Jose. I'm head up and ready to rumble. I'm a mother hen and you're my chick. When you're picking on my chick, you're pecking on the wrong side of me. And you mentioned that line already, but you know what? So good. We'll give it twice.
She's a girl's girl. She's an Anthony's girl. Like looks out for her people.
She does. And I don't think, when you're picking on my chick, you're pecking on the wrong side of me. I don't think that even really hit all the way until you said it earlier. It's a really good line.
Yeah.
Kind of want that on a t-shirt. So anyways, all right. Well, that's the last one that I have.
Are you ready for our new segment?
It's new every time.
Technology Takedown.
Is this your first time hearing it?
Yes, because you didn't actually have it when we did our
That's
virtual
right.
recording.
Yep, that's right.
So,
Technology Takedown.
so good. I thought I was about to hear digital get down.
Oh, man, that would have been good. Well, we got to have a
Copyright.
digital get down. Well, 10 seconds. 10 seconds are left. We're safe.
There you go. That's true.
So this week, it's becoming tradition now for us to not do Technology Takedown as it was originally intended. This week, we're going to, instead of think about what plot lines could be reimagined in the digital era, we're going to think about what it would be like to live in an alternate Designing Women spinoff, all focused on Bernice.
Yes. The dream. The dream, Nikki.
It would be a delightful TV show. I really do feel like.
Yes.
So I think I'd call mine Bernice Loose at Leisureland.
Okay. I didn't come up with a name.
That's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
That might be the only good thing I bring to the table in this one. I don't know. Let's see. So in my spinoff, we'd refocus on Bernice at Hillcrest Leisureland, where she's the ringleader of a group of equally eccentric residents. So this crazy crew of mischief makers are constantly getting into mischief. They wait till Leisureland staff go to sleep, for instance, and then they escape for midnight adventures. Like, is it a midnight viewing of an Ernest movie? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe it's a synchronized scooter race out in the hallway.
Okay.
Something crazy. I think it would give us like physical comedy, but also it would be like because they're elderly people, there's going to be some heartfelt stuff in there.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
I will go ahead and say right now, I had the same thought. It was like, this feels like such an obvious thing to have a TV show about because one, we have an aging population.
Sure.
Like
Not us, but
boomers,
everybody
no,
else.
so young. Boomers are like, they're in this, especially like the further into the boomer generation that you are. So, and they love a 3-cam sitcom.
Yeah.
So this is all like, so it's also a good time to talk about, I mean, there are serious issues around aging.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely a great time to do that.
So they can talk about those serious issues and then still leverage this part of Bernice that reminds them that like getting old doesn't mean you have to be old.
STIs in nursing homes.
Oh, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
So I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
So I also definitely think we'd get some Designing Women cameos. I think if a spinoff had happened, enough time would have passed that Delta Burke might even come on as a cameo of Suzanne. But Anthony would be there pretty consistently, I think.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we'd also see Julia a time or two.
On that note, because I also have something similar for mine, one thing I thought that would be really funny is like even when they're not there, she would recount stories about sugar bakers, but they'd always be really off.
Ever so slightly off.
Yes. And and I don't know what that looks like. I didn't come up with an example, but you get what I'm saying.
For sure. Like in, the episode, gosh, I never remember the title, but Mary Jo and Julia being stuck under a bed. In Bernice's version, like
They left her.
Yes, and she had to sleep with the
Chuck Tremaine.
Chuck Tremaine. Oh, Chuck.
The name I'll know. Oh, Chuck.
She thinks maybe she slept with him. She's not sure.
I don't even want to wear Chucks after that episode.
I love that idea.
I think that would be so much fun. Did you have anything else?
I want to hear about your version.
So I think we're very much, the midnight thing is new. I like that. But like we're on a very similar trajectory. I had like Bernice's posse or whatever.
Oh, sure.
We're going to bring back Ms. Chesley from season 5,
Oh my gosh,
episode 7.
yes.
Yeah. So if you're if maybe just in case you don't remember, this is Old Rebels and Young Models, where Julia returns Mrs. Chesley to Mary Jo after she says that her mop smells. So I want that energy in this posse.
Yes.
And I want her yelling at someone about having her spot on the couch. You know, don't mess with Jake and the Fat Man. That's her favorite time of night. She wants a scotch. Neat. I don't really remember what the drink is, but it is something similar, you know. I want her in the mix. We need that kind of attitude, you know.
Yeah. She'd be a good foil to Bernice.
Totally.
Bernice is just wackadoo and freewheeling, and Miss
She's
Chesley
the muscle.
knows how she wants her stuff done.
Yes. And so, like,
wait, which one's the muscle, Bernice or Mrs. Chesley?
Oh, well, I guess really it could be either, depending on the time.
It's their means for muscling that might be different.
Well, this is a natural segue into this, which is like all these shenanigans could really be endless, but they could do like a prison spoof episode where she starts a crime ring dealing in like pudding cups, depends, and crosswords or something, you know? Or I'm calling these like second helpings from the Designing Women days, but like they could do a version where they help someone break out. It's similar to the one with the Mary Jo and the Runaways or whatever, but like, or Old Model, that's what we called it. But similar to that idea, but with Bernice really in the midst of all of that.
And we get to see the chaos that went down that we only really kind of heard about.
Yes. And I want another pageant or talent show episode.
Oh, that would be good.
Like what we got. I'm spinning. I'm moving around like nothing is wrong in the world or whatever it was. It's also exactly the way that I turn around in a pageant. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think we're onto something.
I think that would be a show I would watch a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
We just need it.
We just need it.
Are we ready to rate this sucker?
Sure.
And by this sucker, I Bernice. Is she up? Is she down?
My rating scale is free associations with Bernice. That's a throwback. Anthony said that in the opening of A Little Night Music. I think Julia walks in and is like, what's going on? He goes, we're just listening to Bernice free associate. Which is just what conversations with her feel like. So I love that. I went 5 out of 5, but honestly, like I would give this woman 10. She brought so much joy to this season. So many bright spots.
When's the last time that we've been on the same page? I have 10 out of 5 bad 1750 Mai Tais. Which also in reviewing my notes, I was like, 1750? Did I actually look this up? That's very expensive for 1992. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to come up with a number that specific. No. So that has to be
came straight from the script, straight from Bernice's mouth.
So I just want to say that I think Bernice is having a fantastic season. She's always up. The lady has lived a life. We have a lot that we can learn from her. She shares her wisdom with those closest to her, and literally I just have no notes. It is sheer perfection, and I only want more.
Even when she's being mean, as long as I'm not the one she's being mean to.
I would let her be mean to me. I've let many other people be mean to me.
If it meant I got to go watch an Ernest movie in the theaters, or I would love to go to a monster truck rally. So
with her.
Sure. I would go at all, but with her it would be delightful in a different kind of way.
Yeah. I would go to the Ernest movie.
Okay.
I actually loved Ernest when I was little. I really did.
I'm trying to remember.
I've seen all of them.
What's the other one? So Ernest Scared
Goes to
Stupid.
Jail. There's Ernest Saves Christmas.
Ernest Saves Christmas. I remember that one. I'm trying to think of the main one we used to watch.
Ernest Goes to School?
No.
Ernest Goes to Camp?
Ernest Goes to Camp.
That's the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Man, these went. Ernest Goes to Africa?
I didn't see that.
Can't say I saw that one either. That was 97. I was out of my Ernest days by then. I was 12. So
I was firmly in my Ace Ventura days by then, I think.
Yes, a different kind of the same kind of comedy.
Correct. Yep. I didn't say I grew up. I just grew out of Ernest. So are we ready for our next episode?
I think we're ready.
So we're going to talk about Anthony in our next main episode. As always, we'd love everyone to follow along with us and engage. Instagram and Facebook at Sweet Tea and TV. We're on TikTok at Sweet Tea TV Pod. You can find us on YouTube. You can email us sweetteatvpod@gmail.com, and our website is www.sweetteatv.com. There are lots of ways to support the show. You can tell your family and friends about us, rate or review the podcast wherever you listen, and then you can visit the Support Us page on our website for more. And come back Thursday for an extra sugar about the kookiest TV characters of all time in honor of Bernice, who might be one of the kookiest TV characters of all time.
Yes. God love her. All right. Well, you know what that means, Nikki.
What does it mean, Selena?
It means we'll see you around the bend.
Bye.